Hi everyone, it's Joe Chaffee on this Friday. Doing this a little early because I'm actually doing day shift today because I'm going to be up here somewhere tonight in northern Connecticut where the winter weather advisories are up. But this is all that mess that we have. Anything from flood watches up this morning from northeastern Maryland and Delaware on up through New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania. We have winter weather advisories kind of enveloped underneath all that across northeastern Pennsylvania. And then they extend up the Catskills. There's kind of a bit of a gap here in western Dutchess County. And then we've got winter weather advisories that extend from New York State downward to eastern Dutchess across northern Connecticut. Winter storm warnings are up for for most of the northern half of Massachusetts. Boston is under an advisory, but just north and west of there, it's a warning, and it's a warning in Vermont, New Hampshire, and southwestern Maine. So this is going to be quite the winter storm for that particular part of the Northeast. And when we look on the satellite this morning, very impressive on the satellite loop. You can see it here. This is the upper air system that is now moving across southern Indiana. Right there, you can see the twist in the clouds. You can also see this storm that's southeast of Newfoundland kind of getting all wrapped up as well, sending arms of moisture rotating back westward into Newfoundland and eastern parts of Nova Scotia. So again, a very active pattern. And here comes the next one, by the way, right behind it. When we look on the West Coast satellite, here's the upper air disturbance dropping southwestward into Nevada and Utah, and that's going to bring more precipitation and some snow to Colorado and into Wyoming and parts of Utah. And we still have more energy just streaming up just across the Pacific. Look at that strong Pacific jet just shooting moisture right across. So this activity and this active pattern continue. Very loaded radar this morning, especially south and west of New York City. All of this has to translate northeastward. So this is going to be a really solid rainfall event for the coastal areas and for New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania and points south into Virginia on the order of a couple of inches. Some places I think are going to wind up getting a little bit more. Very, very excited about that prospect. These events coming through one after another are just terrific, because this is exactly what didn't happen last spring. So let's show you, I was talking yesterday about the fact that how the models were just ridiculous with these snowfall forecast maps, and they are turning out to be wrong, as I thought would be the case. I'm not sure what it is in the algorithms that that these models use to figure out what they think is snowfall or not, but this is the HRRR, and I think it has a really good depiction of what's going to transpire on the radar today. So we have low pressure. Here we go. We're going to start. Let me just back up so we can start at 8 o'clock this morning. So we have a surface low in southeastern Ohio that just kind of redevelops right in through Chesapeake Bay. And here you can see this is by 6 o'clock tonight. It's all sleet across northern Connecticut. Rain everywhere from there south, which is not a surprise. Snow in Massachusetts, except right along the immediate coast, which it does change over to snow right after about 7 or 8 o'clock this evening. And that sleet area goes on until all of northern Connecticut. You start to get into some sleet after midnight over parts of southeastern New York and even into northern New Jersey as that low moves offshore, because once it moves offshore, then it's going to start to train down some colder air. Let me just make sure I have the last. This is the latest HRRR run. Okay, so when we translate that, and I think this is going to be close to reality. When we translate that in terms of rainfall, now this is again only till about 1 a.m. And look at these rainfall. The rainfall here is pretty substantial. The white area represents at least 2 inches. So we can generally say that there's going to be a fairly extensive area of 2-inch plus rainfalls here. And it might even be a bit underdone based on what we're seeing in terms of the radar. And, the 1-inch amounts, they're scattered all the way up. So, any place up in this region here that winds up being cold enough for wet snow is going to actually do fairly well with this in terms of total snowfall. And we will now take a quick look at that. And now this is, again, only through 1 a.m. I think this is still maybe, this is probably still a little bit overdone on the southern flank, but I think it does make sense to me that there's going to be some 6-inch plus amounts across Massachusetts through this point. And notice there's very little, if anything, unless you go up into northern Connecticut, and you got to go north of 84 before you start to find anything. So I really don't anticipate any problems at all for downstate areas. And we'll switch to the NAM model really fast. And this is the NAM's total snowfall. You can see how ridiculous it is. It's showing 11-inch amounts in Rockland County, and even some 6-inch amounts into northwest New Jersey. I kind of think that that's not going to be the case. And when we look at the surface, I don't understand how it does this, considering that when you look at the radar presentation of what the model is showing, it's all rain. So where did where do those numbers come from? I don't know. In fact, it has less than the HRRR. The HRRR has mostly snow up in Massachusetts, whereas the NAM model does not. The NAM model has sleet and rain. So somebody is going to be horribly wrong in this. And yet the NAM has more snow there than the HRRR. So I don't understand it. But anyway, the low moves out, and then goodbye. And then weather conditions improve for Sunday and Monday. And then we'll probably get into some more rain on Tuesday. Let me just show you really fast. Working the early shift is going to force me to make my video a little short today. We'll take the GFS out. I haven't really looked at it because I didn't have a whole lot of time. But here's our storm moving out. Now here's the one that's in Colorado now, and I talked about yesterday that this could be a pretty big severe weather, heavy rainmaker, flash flood event for parts of the central Gulf, and I think that still remains the case. You can see that there. Large area of what should be very heavy rains and thunderstorms moving across East Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and then into Mississippi and Alabama as the next low moves northeast. And then we still have yet another storm coming down into northern New Mexico with more snow for Colorado along about Tuesday. That looks like a pretty good snow producer there for that particular part of the state. So, that particular part of the country. Another low translates eastward. Again, very busy pattern here. And when we move into next weekend, yet another system, and let me just move this along, because yesterday models were kind of trying to indicate some sort of big gale center in the longer term, but it backed away from that. Bottom line is that this pattern still remains the same. You see how these systems just keep moving across one after another. So I'm going to just say, outside of the elusive, for those of you looking for any kind of sustained warm-up in the Northeast, outside of the elusive day here and there, you're not going to get it. And we still have this pretty stormy pattern that is going to take us, I think, at least into the middle part of the month. Quick check of the upper air, just to give you that point of view. And, one of the things I picked up on yesterday was the fact that the pattern does continue to look very blocky. And you can watch all through here. You see there's that Pacific Jet, one system after another, one. They're all over the place here. And you got this one, this one, this one, this one. All of this part of a series that moves along, and got this sort of split flow with colder air in Canada that just keeps things cool enough, but it doesn't keep it necessarily cold enough for spring snows too far south into the Northeast. But this is the pattern we have going forward. In fact, it does look rather blocky again in the longer term. You'll have to just see how the long-term teleconnections tell us about that, but I really don't see any change in this pattern through the middle part of the month. And by the way, this also means that storms will continue to come into the west. So everybody seems to be benefiting from this in terms of picking up some necessary rainfall and or late season snowfall in the Rockies, in the west, and in the east, and particularly in the Northeast. So this is a very, very productive spring pattern that we're in. All right, so check out all the latest weather developments today and latest forecasts regarding this Northeast storm on my website, meteorologistjoechoppy.com. Angry Ben has the latest for New York City on nycweathernow.com. And you can download and subscribe my app. Subscribe to my app for New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, Connecticut, Hudson Valley, and Eastern Pennsylvania. The app is free, and the subscription is just $1 a month, cheaper than a cup of coffee, and you get my specific forecast for those particular zones. And Subscribe to my YouTube video channel, please. I really appreciate it. Happy to see regulars back. And do enjoy the videos and participate in the conversation. To subscribe to the channel, just hit the little red subscribe button. It's absolutely free, doesn't cost you a dime, and it really helps me with my standing with Google. So everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.